From skyscrapers to dance performance, from educational systems to smartphones, it's the art of design that brings ideas out of our heads and into the world. And the notion of what bringing something into the world means is changing now that digital experiences are moving our design expression between physical and virtual spaces. Our design expressions change over time, but what about the thing itself? What exactly is design?
Design is a blueprint that others can follow.
Design is inherently action-centric.
Design is the specification of an object.
Design is a language.
Design is driven by creative emotion and improvisation.
Design is an act of communicating and manifesting intention.
Design is the mechanism that brings our ideas into the world in a way that allows others to experience and interact with them. Our design language today draws freely from both physical and digital metaphors, and we play in spaces where the boundaries between worlds are becoming increasingly porous. But we haven't always been a world-hopping species, jumping between physical and virtual realities. For most of our history, our designs were strongly tied to, and in many cases limited by, our experience with the physical world. Our design expressions draw not only from our physical senses, but also from our political, cultural, and emotional experiences. And our creative arts often bring together multiple discourses in works densely packed with many layers of meaning. Designs, ultimately, are either direct or indirect reflections of the worlds we inhabit, both physical and virtual. In earlier eras, many of our most ambitious designs demonstrated our increasing mastery of the physical world as we extended our reach and built up and out. Physical performance taps into many design vocabularies and represents a literal example of the ways our bodies contribute to the language of design. Design languages across all forms of expression quickly developed many new vocabularies as we advanced technologically in the early 20th century. And long before the arrival of interactive digital worlds, we began exploring forms of coexistence between the real and the virtual. Yet we remain organic beings, looking for ways to stay grounded in our physical senses. And today, we freely connect physical and digital metaphors, creating hybrid mashups that blur the lines between worlds. We're always discovering new information about microscopic and macroscopic aspects of our physical world, and these new insights also inform and evolve our creative process in digital spaces. Today, the virtual world still often recapitulates physical reality, either consciously or unconsciously. But our rapidly expanding design language no longer always distinguishes between one or the other. We're now drawing inspiration from both. The discourse of the real and the not real is becoming even more arbitrary in our daily lives. Multi-screen and gestural interfaces remove world boundaries completely, allowing us to inhabit both the physical and the virtual simultaneously. And it appears we want to ensure our full sensory experience follows us into the virtual worlds we create. Our ability to recreate the richness of our physical world within interactive virtual spaces increases each year, as does our desire to create new kinds of habitable spaces reflecting entirely new experiential metaphors. The expanded vocabularies of virtual world design aren't just confined to abstract expressions, they're directly influencing how we conceive and build the physical world around us. In the following segments, we'll examine some of the ways that increasingly porous boundaries between physical and digital worlds are changing the ways we think about architecture, classroom culture, and the ways we're connected to each other.
The University of Washington Bothell has been exploring the concept of functionality meeting flow through the space design of our campus. In architectural design, the desire for aesthetics merges with the need to create a safe, sound building. Designers strive to create places that people naturally flock to and flock through. In the case of educational spaces, the physical environment can facilitate innovative learning or disrupt it. The informal path that students navigate through physical spaces can be rife with new ideas and new thinking. As one walks through a building, one can learn without words what the building has to offer. Functionality can meet flow, and innovation can be designed into the physical space. Design disruptions can cause one to rethink assumptions about usefulness, art, science, and the world. At the highest levels of performance, the physical environment is an integral component of the learning experience. As the boundaryless nature of digital space continues to influence our physical space designs, designers are reaching for more experimental and nonlinear concepts. As we continue to grow our campus, it is yet to be seen how functionality will meet flow and how the student population will contribute to the physical design.
Welcome to Main Street. University students prowl the streets of downtown Bothell, armed with digital recorders and microphones. This is their place of academic study, their studio, their extended classroom. The Main Street Project not only allows students to learn from the vendors and their professors, but also to learn from themselves. Their projects reflect the larger consideration that academic work does not need to constrain itself to traditional spaces, that it can be as progressive-minded as the experimental works that they create. Professors Kanta Kochar, Carrie Bothell, and Gary Carpenter collaborated to create a course which pushed the boundaries of how technology and new forms of pedagogy can best be used to redefine the meaning of the classroom.
In the arts, we have studio culture. So studio culture is a culture in the classroom where it's not just me formally standing up and lecturing, but it's more of a mentoring situation between students bringing their projects to the classroom, getting individual feedback from myself, but also from other students. What I thought my class could bring to this kind of larger project was the idea of a soundscape. The definition of a soundscape, while it's really akin to a landscape of what we see visually, the soundscape is what's heard, not seen.
Joy Moody, a student of Professor Bothell's IAS class, paired her soundscape recordings with a spoken word piece of her own writing. For Joy Moody, this is what Main Street means to her.
My Main Street. Main streets are the core of the community, where people can congregate and socialize or become invisible in the crowd if they please. On my Main Street, I remember the sounds of bells ringing on the back of retail doors opening and closing, and the sounds of tissue paper rustling in boutique bags. I love the pulse. It's as if it all, person and thing, had a heartbeat. It is without introduction or shared ilk or relation, but with similar smiles and the light in the eye, that we're all family on this strip of Main Street. It's the street. It's my Main Street. My Main Street.
The interplay between the digital and the physical is a daily concern at our Media Lab. Our work on the interactive map for the Innovation Forum was an opportunity to explore how artistic intention confronts functionality and how the two can be in harmony. We needed a way to locate forum participants that was simple but compelling, artistic but functional. We began with the obvious image of a world map and broke it down into the abstract. Eventually, we found a middle ground between the two, and that's where the interactive map was born. Even a simple design has intentionality. Even a simple function can and should be made beautiful. A geographical map is well designed because it is intuitive. You hold in your hands a miniature representation of something so large you can barely comprehend it. And yet you know how to locate yourself, your friends, your family in that physical space. We understand the physical, but isn't there something else? We approached this interactive map with the intention of making something both functional and innovative. Something that would serve a purpose not simply as a database of names, but also as a work of art. Rather than just locating people in the real world, we wanted to locate them in relationships with each other and their work. It's a new way of seeing that isn't physical or representational of anything that we can touch. Say you're looking at an artist in Japan. She has created an installation with funding from a French company, and her work is being exhibited in London. At the end of your search, you realize that some of these people are worlds away, and some are right in your backyard. But the physical distance between these people doesn't matter. Artistic intention and design erases all of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can rebuild it. We have the technology. We have the capability of making this world a better place. Word has it that we are the generation to do it. With advances in math and science, and a little bit of science fiction thrown in for good measure, the possibilities are infinite. Making them possible, now I'm possible. Look out, honey, 'cause I'm using technology. Ain't got time to make no apologies. When startups get bought up and merged to emerge, the titans of tomorrow, what you learned yesterday will fuel the classrooms of today, exciting and igniting the inventors of tomorrow. Builders build, designers design, creators create. I once heard that God created heaven and earth in 6 days and rested on the seventh. We've made a ton of achievements, but now is not the time to rest on our laurels. It's time to fly past our past and into that flying car. Solar panels, cell stems, bionic limbs, from the playground to the PlayStation to the space station. It's the evolution of things. Witty invention, the creator explains. Look out, honey, 'cause I'm using technology. I ain't got time to make no apologies. I once heard a rumor that Google is God, all-knowing, all-powerful, always present, always watching, always achieving. There you can find the answers. Who's the third emperor of China? What is nanotechnology? When is that new Xbox coming out? With my laptop on my lap, praying at my altar, searching my search engine, revving my engines, I stretch my fingers and tap enter. The answer, technology is great, and I am glad in it. If I told you that technology was our savior, would you? Could you believe?